All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be counting down my top 20 favorite World War II novels. Now, I was inspired to do this list by you viewers who, when you watched my review of King Rat by James Clavell, which is a World War II novel, a lot of you were saying, hey, you should give us a list of your top 10 World War II novels. And I was like, yeah, that's a pretty good idea, because I have a lot of World War II novels I've read. But I couldn't come up with 10. I had to do 20. In fact, if you followed my channel for any length of time, you know that I just couldn't keep it to 20 either. So, I have 20 of my favorite World War II novels and 3 sort of honorable mentions. So let's just get to it. Let's just start this magnificent list of fantastic literature that I'm going to show you about World War II. I'm fascinated by the subject. I travel a lot. I visit a lot of the World War II sites like Omaha Beach, like Dachau Prison Camp, some of the other World War II sites I visited, like the Anne Frank House, some of the Arnhem Bridge area, gosh, I can just go on and on. Hitler's Eagle's Nest. There's a lot of places I have visited just based off of my reading of some of these books that I'm going to talk about. So let's get to it. Honorable mention, number 23, I am going to give to Greg Iles and his wonderful thriller called Black Cross. And this is a thriller, set in and around World War II about, just Nazis being Nazis and stuff like that. Set in 1944. Sorry, my glasses. Honorable mention number 1, number 23. We'll toss that one over here. And then honorable mention number 22 is another one of my favorite thriller writers, Robert Ludlum and the Scarlatti Inheritance, which is about people inheriting. Well, this is about weapons, money, and power. Elizabeth Scarlatti, she has some information that could give Hitler the weapon that will win the war. That's kind of what it's about. Anyway, let's move on. This one, number 21 of my honorable mention, is one that I want to talk about a little bit more in detail. But that is Billy Boyle, book number 1 in James R. Benn's magnificent murder mystery series set during World War II, where Billy Boyle, the Boston policeman, is recruited into the army, becomes a army policeman, and investigates murders throughout Europe during World War II. And I want to show you, I will pan through my library here. And I just wanted to show you, I put all the Billy Boyle books right there. So this is a series of books that, as you can see, is pretty extensive. I've read a lot of these, and there's a lot of World War II history and little known facts in these World War II mystery novels. The Billy Boyle series by James R. Benn is my honorable mention. Number 3 comes in at 21. So let's get to the top 20. That's what we're here for. The Young Lions by Irwin Shaw, one of the classic World War II novels, written not soon after World War II even ended. Just a great novel about soldiers. Sorry, I put it down. About soldiers, what it was really like during World War II. Absolutely great. Fantastic. The Young Lions, a classic novel that vividly portrays the experience of ordinary soldiers fighting in World War II, using the viewpoints of young Nazi, jaded American film producer, a shy Jewish boy. Just a great book. That's number 20. Number 19, King Rat, the book that inspired this list. King Rat by James Clavell, a great World War II novel set in China, a Japanese prison camp in China, and how the American soldiers, the British soldiers, the New Zealand soldiers, and the Australian soldiers had to navigate this brutal prison camp run by the Japanese in China. Comes in at number 19. Coming in at number 18, a book that I read and reviewed not long ago, The Miracle at St. Anna by James McBride. A great, great literary piece of fiction set in Italy during World War II, a small town in Italy with a band of soldiers that are a black regiment of soldiers, African Americans fighting in World War II. Absolutely great, great World War II novel. And then we will go to Jackdaws by Ken Follett, one of my favorite thriller writers of all time, one of my favorite historical novelists of all time. Ken Follett, Jackdaws. This is a magnificent World War II thriller, and it is about, let's see, gosh, it was so long ago that I read this, but I loved it. It is about codename Jackdaws. Anyway, let's keep moving on because this is going to go forever. Robert Ludlum, another Robert Ludlum book, comes in at number 16. The Rhineman Exchange. Probably my favorite Robert Ludlum World War II novel. Just great. This one is set in 1943. Agent David Spaulding is a global espionage elite. Has to do with Buenos Aires, Argentina, things like that. Sinister assassins, terrifying things. Eric Rhineman, industrialist. Put that one on the ground. Oh, I've already screwed up. One of the books already broke that I threw on the ground. Dang it. Greg Isles, Spandau Phoenix. This was great. I just read and reviewed this one not long ago, too, number 13. This is about one of the Hitler's main guys getting in an airplane and flying to Scotland to defect to Scotland. Just a magnificent story. Now, this one does flip-flop between World War II and like 1987 and stuff like that. But anyway, I gotta check the damage. I will edit this part out. I gotta check the damaged book. It was Jackdaws that got damaged. It looks like it's okay though. Okay, this is a little bit of an odd one to put in the book, but Robert McCammon's horror novel Wolfsour is an actual World War II novel. It's about werewolves during World War II. And it's dope. It's got a lot of World War II history in here. Like, we get to see some of what World War II looked like in Africa, Northern Africa. Rommel, that's where he got his start, or Northern Africa. Apparently there were werewolves. That's how Rommel made his name, killing the werewolves. I don't think that's true. But according to the Robert McCammon book, it is. Oh, another Ken Follett, Hornet Flight. This is another one where we have to get an airplane and sneak it across enemy lines. It's just such a great book. Hornet Flight. Ken Follett. Such a magnificent World War II novel. Number 12, Norman Mailer, The Naked and the Dead. I read this probably about 20 years ago. This was a fascinating. I mean, Norman Mailer wrote one of my favorite books, The Executioner Song. Just a great novel. And this is a great one, too. This was about World War. Again, like Irwin Shaw's book, The Young Lions. This one was written not that long after World War II had ended by Norman Mailer. It was one of his first books, if not his first. I can't remember. Anyway, it is about just normal fighting guys, just the normal fighter, normal guys, boots on the ground in the South Pacific. The Naked and the Dead. City of Thieves by David Benioff. This is a great World War II novel, just about the brutality and grimness and the starvation that happens during war. Now, David Benioff, you might know of, as he was the co-writer and co-producer of Game of Thrones. Yeah, you didn't know that he also wrote novels, and this is a great World War II novel, City of Thieves, by the Game of Thrones creator David Benioff. The top 10, we're to the top 10. This is where the books get good. Not that the ones that we've seen aren't good either, but the Unlikely Spy comes in at number 10, David Silva. I read this again about when it first came out, probably in 1997. So it's been about 25 years since I've read this. But I just remember it vividly. It was so good. Remember almost everything about it. It's just about an unlikely spy who is female, and that's just got a lot of really great World War II intrigue in both England and France and Germany. And now this one is a little controversial. Number 8 is Neal Stephenson's Cryptonomicon. Now, I admit only about half of this novel takes place during World War II. The other half takes place in modern times. But it's a 1,200-page book, so about 600 pages are about World War II. It is absolutely cool. This is about codes and secret codes and more secret codes and secret mathematics that were used during the war. Absolutely great. Spies. It's about, here, I'll just write this. It's an adventure of soldiers, secrets, gold, spies, code makers, code breakers, conspiracies, power, pirates, prisoners, lovers, and great escapes. That's a damn good description of the book. Cryptonomicon comes in at number 8. Gosh, Neal Stephenson is such a magnificent writer. The Key to Rebecca. The Key to Rebecca by Ken Follett comes in at number 9. This is the third book by Ken Follett on this list. Will there be more? We shall see. The Key to Rebecca, a great World War II novel. Again, this one is kind of set in the Africa, Morocco, Cairo, places like that. It's it's about spies and assassins and all that stuff in the middle of World War II. Can't go wrong with a Ken Follett thriller ever. Oh, this book here is dynamite. The movie of this book, too, is a classic. And that is From Here to Eternity by James Jones. Wow, this is such a cool book. It's about Hawaii and Pearl Harbor and just the build up to Pearl Harbor and all that stuff. It's kind of a slow burn. It's kind of like about this guy's relationships, the way he's conducting himself as a soldier at this army base in Hawaii, and the corporals and captains above him, and the wives and the girlfriends, and about the first 2/3 of the book is about that, but it's fascinating. It really builds it up, and then we get the attack on Pearl Harbor. Okay, so that is From Here to Eternity, which was dope. My book number 6. Man, this book made me cry. There's two books on this list that made me cry. This is the first one. And that is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. The Book Thief, set during World War II, about the Grim Reaper. No, literally about the Grim Reaper who goes around and it's about the Grim Reaper during World War II. Grim Reaper got a lot of business during World War II. Business was a booming. But this is sad. This one's a sad one. This one's so sad it made me cry at the end. Such a great book. Supernatural. This is another one kind of like Wolf's Hour by Robert McCammon. This is a supernatural sort of ghost story set during World War II. And it is heartfelt and touching and beautifully written. And it made me cry. Okay, we're the top 5, and these books are nothing short of magnificent, folks. And book number 5 is The Winds of War. Now, this is not The Winds of War. This is the sequel to The Winds of War. War and Remembrance by Herman Wouk, book number 2 in his World War II duology. There's 2 books in this series. This is book number 2. This is full of family drama, adventure, World War II adventure, so many characters. I mean, this is a 1,200-page book. So many characters that we got to know in book number 1, which is probably going to be on my top 4 anyway. So many characters from book number 1 that we met that carry through into this book. And this book is globe spanning. We get to see every angle and every part of the war, from the war in the South Pacific to the war in Europe, to the war in Russia, Germany, Italy, England, even the United States. It just is a globe spanning, epic story of World War II. And I'll talk more about it because book number 1 is coming up here. So book number 4, All the Light We Cannot See. This is the other World War II novel that made me cry. This is by Anthony Dior, and it is set in Saint Malo, France. In fact, I was thinking of wearing my Saint Malo t-shirt. I've been to Saint Malo. I told you I go to a lot of these places. I've been to Saint Malo, France, which is this town right here photographed. And I was going to wear my Saint Malo t-shirt, but instead I decided to wear my U2 War t-shirt. Anyway, this is just such a great novel about a young blind girl living in Paris and Saint Malo, France, a young German boy who ends up joining the Nazi party, and just the bombardment of, as when the American planes came over and bombed Saint Malo just to get rid of the Nazis out of there. Just an absolutely heart-wrenching story. One of my favorite, well, obviously it's one of my favorite World War II novels because I have it at number 4. And this one won the Pulitzer Prize. So other people liked it too. My number 3 World War II novel is another Ken Follett. The best thriller written about World War II ever written was Eye of the Needle by Ken Follett. Probably the grimmest, grittiest World War II thriller in existence. Just the Eye of the Needle, the assassin that's in this is just so deadly and so fierce and so cunning. And he's just one of those characters that will always stay with you. Long after the story is done, you'll always remember the assassin from Eye of the Needle. It is just magnificent. And this is a book that's kind of about England getting ready for D-Day and how they tried to dupe the Germans by building an actual fake army base. So when the Germans would fly over, they'd think that this army base and the D-Day invasion into France is going to happen over in one part of France because of where the army base is in England. And it's just, but there's this guy, this spy, this dude that knows the secret. He knows the secret, and will he be able to? I'm just telling you, it's a great World War II novel. Number two, and man, number 1 and number 2, I really fought because they're so dead even in my. I was just like, I don't know which one is better. I don't know which one should be 1 and which one should be number 2. But I just decided I had to do one or the other. So, The Caine Mutiny by Herman Wouk comes in at number 2. And if you remember, War and Remembrance by Herman Wouk. So we've had this one by Herman Wouk already, and now we've got number 2 is The Caine Mutiny. And this is a great World War II story about how leadership is so important. And if you've got a bad leader in war, it can be devastating and demoralizing. And maybe the people under this leader need to mutiny. That's why it's called The Caine Mutiny. Again, another Pulitzer Prize winning novel, much like All the Light You Cannot See. And that's my number 2 World War II novel. Number 1 is another Herman Wouk book, The Winds of War. This is book number 1 in his duology. Remember, I'll edit all these scenes out where I bend over. Nobody wants to see me bend over. I shouldn't have even said that. Okay, so 3 books by Herman Wouk made my top 5. Winds of War, book 1 in his World War II duology. War and Remembrance, book 2 in his World War II duology. And The Caine Mutiny. 3 Herman Wouk books make my top 5. That is how much I love these books that this guy has written. So The Winds of War starts out before World War II begins. It just gives us all these different characters that are living in Italy, Germany, um, Russia, on aircraft carriers out in the South Pacific, on submarines. It just gives us all these different characters that we get to follow throughout this magnificent saga of war that comprises these two books. And they are absolutely cool. If these are the books, if you want to read, forget everything else that I tossed on the floor. If you want to read the quintessential novels about World War II that will give you great action, great drama, great characters, great story that takes you from the beginning of the war to the end of the war, through every aspect of the war, from the war in the Pacific to the war in Europe. This is it. This is the series you need to get. You need to get these two books. You will learn so much about the Nazis, about the Third Reich, about how Russia was involved, about how Italy was involved, about how North Africa was involved, about how Australia was involved, and Japan and China, all of it, all of it. Aircraft carriers, bombers, B-17s, P-51 Mustangs, the tanks, everything. The prison camps, Dachau prison camp, Auschwitz, Hitler, Eisenhower, Winston Churchill, all the warlords in Japan. Everything is included in these two books. This book's about 1,000 pages. This one's about 1,200 pages. Absolutely, you need to read these two. And then when you're done with those, you need to read The Caine Mutiny by Herman Wouk, because this guy lived through World War II, and he knew the subject. And these are great books. Absolutely great books. So, my friends, that is my... And as always, I go and I show the pile of books that I put on the floor in a disgraceful manner. I just treat the books like crap, throw them on the floor, and there you go. That is my World War II Top 20.